The sun woke the village slowly, its gentle warmth spreading across the emerald-green rice paddies. Anya loved this time of day. The air smelled of damp earth, sweet jasmine, and the promise of a hot afternoon. She would often walk along the narrow paths that crisscrossed the fields, her bare feet familiar with every stone and patch of soft mud. The world felt quiet and full of possibilities. In these moments, her heart felt light, like a kite dancing on the morning breeze. She watched the farmers begin their work, their movements a familiar rhythm that had been passed down through generations. This was the life she knew, a life painted in shades of green and gold. Her days were simple, filled with chores and quiet moments of reflection. She helped her mother weave baskets from dried palm leaves and tended to their small garden behind the house. But lately, her thoughts often drifted away from her tasks. They drifted towards the horizon, towards the vibrant sunsets that painted the sky in streaks of orange, pink, and purple. A new feeling had taken root in her heart, a quiet and curious longing. It was a feeling she couldn't quite name, but it made the world seem both bigger and more intimate. It was a gentle ache, a sweet kind of hope that made her look at the familiar landscape with new eyes. From her favorite spot on a small hill overlooking the village, Anya could see everything. She saw the river winding like a silver ribbon, the cluster of nipa huts with their thatched roofs, and the tall, swaying coconut trees. It was a peaceful scene, one she had known her entire life. Yet, something had changed. The colors seemed brighter, the sounds of the village more musical. It was as if a new character had walked onto the stage of her life, bringing with him a palette of unseen colors. This feeling was both exciting and a little bit scary, like standing at the edge of the water, waiting for the courage to dive in. This change was connected to a newcomer, a man who didn't work the fields or fish in the river. He was an artist, and his presence was a quiet mystery. Anya found herself thinking about him more and more. She wondered what he saw when he looked at the same sunset that she loved so much. Did he see the same colors? Did he feel the same sense of wonder? Her heart beat a little faster whenever she caught a glimpse of him from a distance. The simple, predictable rhythm of her life now had a new, unspoken melody, and it was a tune she was slowly learning by heart, a song of quiet anticipation. His name was Mateo, and he had arrived in the village just a few weeks ago. He had rented the small, slightly neglected hut at the edge of the mango grove, a place that had been empty for years. The villagers were curious about him. He was quiet and kept to himself, often seen with a canvas and an easel, trying to capture the light that danced on the rice paddies. Anya would watch him from afar, hidden by the thick leaves of a banana tree. She admired the way he stood so still, his eyes focused and intense, as if he were trying to understand the very soul of the landscape. He seemed to see a magic in their simple world that others often overlooked. Mateo was different from the other men in the village. His hands were not calloused from farm work, but were instead stained with specks of blue, green, and yellow paint. He moved with a quiet grace, his gaze always searching, always observing. Anya was captivated by his passion. She saw how he would stare at a single hibiscus flower for a long time before putting his brush to the canvas. It was as if he was having a silent conversation with the world around him. His presence was a gentle disruption, a new color added to the familiar palette of their daily lives, and Anya found herself drawn to this new hue. One afternoon, she saw him struggling with his easel as a sudden gust of wind swept through the fields. He almost lost his painting, a half-finished canvas of the sunset. Anya's heart leaped and she wanted to run and help him, but shyness held her back. She just watched as he secured the legs of the easel with a determined look, his brow furrowed in concentration. In that moment, he seemed both strong and vulnerable. He was a creator, a person who brought new things into the world, and she felt a deep sense of respect for his dedication. He was not just painting a picture, he was telling a story. Anya began to see her village through his eyes. She noticed the subtle shifts in color as the clouds passed over the sun. She paid more attention to the way the light filtered through the leaves of the acacia trees, His art was teaching her to see the beauty she had always known in a deeper, more meaningful way. He was a stranger, yet he felt familiar, like a dream she didn't know she had been having. She hoped for a chance to speak with him, to learn what stories his paintings held, and to share the quiet beauty of the world she loved so much. The opportunity came on a busy market day. The central plaza was alive with noise and color. Vendors shouted their prices, chickens clucked in their cages, and the air was thick with the smells of grilled fish, ripe fruit, and fragrant spices. Anya was there to buy tomatoes for her mother. She carefully selected the reddest, plumpest ones, placing them in her woven bayong basket. Lost in the bustling crowd, she turned a corner too quickly and bumped into someone. Her basket tipped, and the bright red tomatoes tumbled out, rolling across the dusty ground like scattered jewels. Embarrassed, Anya knelt down immediately, her cheeks flushing warm. "I'm so sorry," she mumbled, trying to gather the runaway tomatoes. Before she could collect them all, another pair of hands joined hers. She looked up, and her breath caught in her throat. It was Mateo. He was kneeling beside her, his gentle eyes filled with kindness, not annoyance. He carefully picked up a tomato, wiped the dust from its skin with his thumb, and placed it back in her basket. His hands, though stained with paint, were surprisingly gentle and steady. "It's all right," he said, his voice as soft as the evening breeze. "No harm done." He smiled, and Anya felt her heart flutter like a trapped bird. It was the first time she had seen his smile up close. It reached his eyes, crinkling the corners in a way that made him look younger and less serious than when he was painting. They gathered the rest of the tomatoes in a comfortable silence. When they were all back in the basket, he stood up and offered her a hand to help her to her feet. His touch was brief, but it sent a warm current through her entire body. "Thank you," Anya said, her voice barely a whisper. She couldn't look away from his eyes. "I'm Anya," he nodded, his smile lingering. "I'm Mateo. It's nice to finally meet you." The way he said finally made her wonder if he had noticed her watching him too. The noisy market seemed to fade into the background, leaving just the two of them in a quiet bubble of awareness. It was a simple, accidental meeting, but for Anya, it felt like the beginning of something important, a small spark ignited in the middle of a crowded day. Their friendship began to grow in the days that followed. Anya found the courage to approach him as he worked. She would bring him a small offering, a gesture of village hospitality. Sometimes it was a cool glass of water, and other times it was a few ripe mangoes from the tree in her backyard, their skin a perfect blend of yellow and orange. She would set them down beside him and watch as he painted. He didn't always talk much, but his silence was comfortable. It was a shared quiet, filled with the sounds of his brush on the canvas and the rustling of leaves in the wind. Their favorite meeting spot became the shade of a large old acacia tree that stood near the edge of the rice paddies. Mateo would often set up his easel there to capture the late afternoon light. Anya would finish her chores early and join him, sitting on the grass, her knees hugged to her chest. She would tell him stories about the village, about the festivals and the folklore her grandmother used to tell. He, in turn, would explain his art to her. He showed her how he mixed colors to capture the exact shade of the sky just before a storm, or the deep green of the rice stalks. Through their conversations, they discovered a world in each other. Mateo found inspiration not just in the landscape, but in Anya's stories and her quiet strength. He started painting scenes of village life, children playing, women weaving, and one day, a subtle portrait of a girl sitting under an acacia tree, her gaze lost in the distance. Anya, inspired by Mateo's passion for creating beauty, started writing. She filled a small notebook with poems about sunsets, the scent of mangoes, and the feeling of a gentle hand helping her pick up fallen tomatoes. Her words became her own canvas. Their love story unfolded as gently as a flower opening at dawn. It wasn't a story of grand declarations, but of small shared moments. It was in the mangoes she brought him and the way he saved the sweetest one for her. It was in the poems she was too shy to show him, and the way he painted her smile into the corner of a landscape. Their affection grew quietly, nurtured by the golden sunsets, the green fields, and the deep mutual respect they had for each other's worlds. In the heart of the village, amidst the mangoes and rice paddies, they found not just love, but a new way to see the world and themselves.